What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, for the thousands, and I mean thousands of commenters that have always said, hey, can we do away with the countdown clock? Boy, by God, today is your day. Okay, so I want to see everybody in the comments that's ever said a bad thing one about that damn countdown climber or countdown clock to let me know, hey, that boy did it. That boy did it today. We are raw, straight into it live from SEC Media Days. Welcome in to today's show. It is indeed a loaded one. 7 o'clock here, local time in Dallas, Texas. I got family that lives out here in Texas. I've been to Texas several times. I told the Uber driver today, I feel like Texas is Georgia if you just stretched it, just made everything just wider and bigger, including the people. If you just stretch Georgia east-west, I think this is what you would get. Everything's a little flatter. Trees aren't as tall. Hills and valleys aren't as steep. And everything's just flatter. But it feels like Georgia. You know what I mean? From a temperature perspective, from a just general aesthetics. You know, I'm sitting here in Dallas. Y'all can't quite see the city line here. I'm looking at it in my background. It is very much so akin to that of Georgia. So how about that? We got good audio according to the chat. So shouts out to the DJIs. Also want to give a quick shout out to our boys 680 for allowing us to use their setup here on Radio Row live from SEC Media Days. Glad to have you guys in today. Make sure you're loaded up. Hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and reviewing. Not going to be stopping, welcoming in, doing any of that in the middle of today's broadcast. So I want to get the business out of the way. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so. Okay, we do great content around here. If you're new, welcome in. Glad to have you here. If you miss any portion of today's broadcast, you can check it out on wherever you get your podcast. Just search the Film Guy Network. It will be readily available for you after today's live stream. Super excited to be here today. Obviously, it was the very first day of SEC Media Days. I got to tell you, once these days come, I know we're here. It's almost time. You know, there's the put the kids to bed. It's time to watch a Game 7. I feel that way about SEC Media Days. As soon as this comes, I get home, I see my wife on Thursday, and I have to tell her, like, hey, get ready. Put the kids to bed. Football season is here, honey. It is time to grind. It is time to get after it. So shouts out to everybody out there listening to us today. And shouts out to football season for finally being here. I got thoughts. I got lots of them. I got 4 or 5 pages worth of just eradicated thoughts down here on the notepad. So super excited to bring these to you today from our day one observations. I want to start with this one. There always seems to be a theme here at SEC Media Days. I've paid attention to these closely for years now, really, really closely, as if it were my job, because it is, over the last 3 years in particular, okay? Last 3 years I've been paying attention. Hey, what is the theme? What is the consistently asked questions? The first year, 2022, it was very, very NIL transfer based, right? Every coach got asked something about name, image, and likeness or something about the transfer portal. That was that year's theme. This year's theme is very obvious, last year's theme, the same question prompted to every single coach. Coach, what do you think about artificial intelligence? And I'm watching these football brains just explode thinking about technology. It's like, bro, I don't know nothing about that nonsense. I don't know why you talking to me about it. Artificial what? Yes, coach, artificial intelligence. What are you doing with it? That was last year's theme over and over and over again. And hey, I'm going to tell you what, through day one, it is very obvious what the theme is going to be here in Dallas. And that is, you're going to be talking about Texas and Oklahoma. Even if you don't want to talk about Texas and Oklahoma, you going to be talking about Texas and Oklahoma. And here's my thing. I don't mind it. I get it. We all have a job to do. Our job is to get some type of quote. Some people's job seems to be get some type of quote relative to your team or your coach or who you're covering. That way you can go and run a little article on it and you can type it up and you can meet today's quote and you can be done. That seems to be everybody's MO out here, and I understand that. But here's what I want forbidden for the rest of SEC Media Days, and I hope everyone else agrees with this as well. We have got to stop asking South Carolina's head coach what he thinks about Texas's roster. We have got every single coach today had to answer some type of question of, hey, coach, what you think about Oklahoma? I know you don't play them this year. I know your program hasn't played them in 17 years, but what do you think about Oklahoma's roster? What? I don't know. They're good. Brent's done a great job. We'll see what they do. You know, it's SEC every week's important. Yada, 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 coach speak. And I understand it needs to be asked. They're coming to this conference. I get it. It's just a really competitive room. It's right there behind me. It's a really, really competitive room where that head coach is only going to answer 5, 10, 11, 12 questions. I would prefer not every single time to have to answer what's the status of Oklahoma's roster per se Kirby Smart. Okay, so let's not do that one. Let's avoid that line of questioning, if you will. If you want to do something, like I'm cool with Shane Beamer talking about Oklahoma because he coached there, right? If you want to Josh Heupel the Oklahoma thing, I get it. He played there. But like, why are we asking Clark Lee about what it takes to win in the SEC? For Texas's viewpoint, it has nothing to do with it. We're good on that one. That's just how I feel about that one. Are we live on Twitter? Because the numbers over here on Streamlabs would indicate that we are not. And I hope we are. It seems we are. Yeah, we are. We got a bunch of people over there watching us on Twitter as well. Shouts out to the tweeters. Make sure you're hitting that. Just the screen. I guess the screen fires off those like buttons. I'm going to tell you right now, this environment, not great for someone with very, very drastic ADD. Okay, people walking by, people walking in and out. I'm trying to do show. It's just all over the place. But hey, we have to get it done, right? We got to get it done. And it's better than being in the hotel room. So again, we're out here and we're going to do it like this for the rest of the week. So here we go. On to Sanki's comments. I've said my piece about stop asking coaches about other rosters. I don't care to hear it. Do not. All right, on to the next one. Sanki was the first one to speak today, and he opened with what I probably should have opened with, but this isn't that platform. This isn't I'm not the person you come for solace in terms of like unifying the country. But yesterday was a pretty hectic day for a lot of people. Obviously, sensitive subject, sensitive topic. All I will say is what I will relay the messages that Sanki brought to us today, which is I feel like we're far, far too separated, and there's no like unification, and there's no like even when my wife and I argue, even if we do, right, we can come together on the fact that we love each other and we love our children, right? No different than any American out here, left, right, as Denzel Washington said in Remember the Titans, white, black, purple, or orange. It don't matter. We should all have that unificating moment of, hey, we're Americans and we love that. Therefore, we can find some type of middle ground. And I just feel like that's been lost. And yesterday was the exclamation point on that, in my opinion, on top of it being a pretty dimming and historic day. So he brought out those comments today as well. Just like, hey, man, like football is great because it brings us together as this like one unifying force. And however, wherever, and how often we can create those moments in this world nowadays, they seem to be very, very special and unique. And I relay that sentiment as well because, like, good Lord, man, football that day is just football. And everybody comes and they love on that. They love on football. But we can't seem to do that anywhere else of importance. And that's a problem. So, yeah, he talked about that today, and I thought I should bring it to you. The other thing that Sanki constantly has to get talked about or asked about is I hate that he comes up here and he has to be all it's almost seemingly like doom and gloom about where the sport is, where the sport's going, what the sport looks like, all the changes in the sport, all the expansion, all the realignment. And I feel like this is a guy who should be able to come up here, specifically him, should be able to come up here and he should be able to, right? He should get a round of applause, his own league. And he shouldn't have to be asked about all these different tectonic plates. But I understand why he is, because he, more than any other commissioner in the sport, far more than any other commissioner in the sport, is looked upon as the end-all, be-all. If Greg says it, we believe it. Or if Greg thinks it, we should do it. Or if Greg says it, we should take it under consideration. And I understand that. But I feel like every time he gets out here, he gets asked about these different questions, and he gets pigeonholed into a place where he can't publicly give you an answer while also maybe not having the answer. And that doesn't necessarily always come out the best, even though, he very clearly had to write that speech this morning. That was very evident and obvious to me based off the tone. And again, the opening statement off of what he ultimately went out there and did, and ultimately went out there and said. But I feel like the nature of this content, or this conference rather, is just elite. There's nothing negative really to say about this conference in terms of where it stands in college football. And we all know this, right? This is the sky is blue take from Brooks. SEC good, other conferences not as good. We all know this, right? I just wish he could talk about that a little bit more when he gets up here instead of answering for all of college football, which it feels sometimes he has to do. So there's that. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We do have a super sub in here as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit it from 910 Cooper. The homie says, appreciate the content, Brooksy. No days off. Absolutely not. First alarm went off this morning at 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's been a long day. Flight was smooth, though. Landed here in Dallas-Fort Worth about 8:45. I didn't even miss a moment. Slid right in. Out here at SEC Media Days. I got a preview coming for tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is Georgia's day at SEC Media Days. We'll be bringing you a preview of that today as well. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Streamlabs this week out here in SEC Media Days. So your comments will get shown on the screen. Maybe we'll do a little Q&A towards the end of the week if your boy runs out of show notes. I highly doubt that's going to be the case, however, because your boy's locked and loaded. There's plenty to talk about. So there's that. We got Sanki. I think we're good. No, we're not. No, we're not. He was asked about Florida State and Clemson, and I think he's good on that. I mean, he's pretty good at speaking around the topics and not letting you really know his intentions. But I think we all know, or at least I think I know where the SEC or where FSU and where ACC is going to ultimately go. I think they're going to end up in the Big 12. I think all the tea leaves read that they're going to the Big 12. The private equity money. Oh, by the way, Greg Sanki aligns with the homie about private equity money. He ain't about it. I want y'all to go back and listen to the little barb he threw at private equity money and capital firms getting involved in college football and saying they're going to, quote, save college football. And the jab that he threw at that. He is so on my side of this. Hey, y'all think college football is so bad. Y'all want to bring y'all's money in here. Y'all ain't bringing no answers. All y'all are doing is flooding it with money. Ain't nobody got answers. All right. So I am with the Greg Sanki bandwagon on this whole get the hell out of here with this private equity money. I'm tired of that stuff. Greg is all about that, and I am there with him as well. Again, back to the Florida State and Clemson discussions. I don't think they're as much of a deal with the SEC as they are maybe with the Big 12. I don't even really think, and I don't know this to be the case, I don't know what the interest of the Big 10 would be. So why would and I know they just went all the way out west and geolocating these schools really doesn't matter. But now all of a sudden the Big 10 is going to cover literally the entire country. We're not just going to have to travel 4 teams west. We're also going to have to travel 2 teams all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and the Middle East and the Northeast of the conference or of the country. And it's just like logistically doesn't really make sense, but neither does Stanford in the ACC. So what the hell am I talking about? The team leaves to me just say Big 12. They're stacking up the money. Clemson's trying to stack up their money. FSU's trying to stack up their money to get out of their TV contracts. It just looks like that to be the case. Maybe the SEC doesn't have to go out and get money together, doesn't have to pull their money together because they're so financially strong. However, do we believe that to be the case? I don't necessarily believe that. All right. They are loaded up. Glad you guys are here today. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button over on YouTube. I'm going to go check on our YouTube stream right now while I'm sitting here just to make sure we're holding strong. That number is a lot higher over there on YouTube. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, all that good stuff. So there is that. Hope audio sounds great. Seems like it is holding up. All right, let's get on to the coaches. I don't know if I can cuss on Radio Row. Bro, Brian Kelly had that shit on today. Checker. I'm a man for a checkered suit. I'm a man for some stripes. I'm a man for something that ain't just standard OG blue, gray, black, white, whatever. Give me something with some spice. I mean, Kiffin even went two-tone today. Kiffin went with the stripes and the gray slack or the black slacks with the J's on. I mean, maybe those were dunks. Nonetheless, Brian Kelly had that joint on today. Got a little bit too much sun. I don't think the lights are doing these coaches very much of a service here because all of them look like they're sunburnt to piss. They all definitely just came back from vacation, but they are all not as red and as tan as they look on television here in person. So there is that. Trying to catch up on some notes here. But anyways, I think let's get some actual evaluation here. I think there are two storylines heading into this season and based off today's media days with LSU. Number one, and first and foremost with that program, you spent a lot of money. You spent a lot of money rebuilding your defensive coordinating staff this offseason. Would you get any better? I mean, that's like the number one goal for LSU because they were historically, for LSU standards, historically bad last year on the defensive side of the football. So they're going to have to, and I mean have to, make drastic leaps on that side of the football. And by all accounts, that guy seems to be at least attempting to do so. And it's never, roster-wise, they haven't changed that much. They only added nine transfers from the transfer portal this offseason, maybe a couple of defensive backs. But majority of their defense is the same guts that it was from a player's perspective, the same guts that it was last year minus Mason Smith, right? So you have the same football players, right? Major Burns included for you Georgia folks listening. Same football players for the most part on the defensive side of the football, an entirely different staff. And when I watched them last year, I didn't necessarily think they had bad football players. Thought they just didn't know what the hell they were doing most of the time. Way more busted coverage. I felt like I was watching a USC defense at times. Way more busted coverages on an LSU defense than you should ever expect to be the case. And I think what the problem was is they were far, far too multiple last year, trying to do way too many things, trying to maybe play a little bit too complicated of a style when you've got, the fourth best roster perennially in the SEC, no matter what. If LSU just puts a robot in it, coach, and just recruits the state, does regular LSU Tiger stuff, you're going to have a top 4, top 5 SEC roster. You should be able to line up and play reasonable defense, right? You should not be able to line up and be giving up 40 in SEC play. That is blasphemous in that Baton Rouge area, and I would imagine that certainly gets clicked or changed. So that, first and foremost, is the most important storyline for LSU. How much better will y'all get defensively? How much more consistent will y'all get on the defensive side of the football? And on the other side, right, the other storyline, in my opinion, is obviously about Nuss, right? How much can Garrett Nussmeier take this offense and make it his? This was a question that I had for Brian. I wanted to know, hey, coach, obviously these two football players, Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, could not be any more different, all right? But every historically great quarterback is not identical. They don't all look the same, right? Especially in college, right? Kyler Murray does not look like insert Joe Burrow. Baker Mayfield did not look like Matt Stafford. Take it all, Cam Newton did not look like Deshaun Watson from a play styles perspective or any perspective, right? So these greatness traits, why are these quarterbacks great? Well, I was curious, if anything, what are the common traits that all great quarterbacks share? Because you've obviously studied the sport. You obviously know it a little bit better than I do, but what about quarterbacks is a common trait that all the great ones share? I have my own theories on this. I think he missed one of them. The two that he mentioned today were all the intangibles, the leadership aspects, right? Everyone knows this. You have to be able to lead the room. You have to be a leader of men at that position. You have to be kind of the alpha, if you will, in a lot of those rooms. That's an obvious one. I think that's first and foremost, the off-the-field stuff about leading an organization and leading your roster and all that good stuff. But the other one that he mentioned was the processing, right? Can I give you information? Can you intake that information and then go relay that information once you get out on the field? That's all processing to me. Just if I give you information, no different than a computer, right? What is a computer processor? A computer processor takes a bunch of data, condenses it, spits it back out. That's exactly what quarterbacks are supposed to do. They have to have a CPU in their brain. They have to have a computer processing user or optimization inside that neck up eval, right? And he talked about this, but it's all encompassing, right? It's okay, can I take a playbook? Can I retain the playbook? Can I spit the playbook back out? Hey, okay, coach installed this today. Can we go practice it tonight and then go play with it on Saturday? Can we process all that information and spit it back out? Oh, also, by the way, when the ball is snapped, can we process what's happening in the field? Can we process what's happening in front of us? Can we see, okay, hey, look, they were showing one high, they rotated to two high, or they were showing two high, front side safety, play side safety, rolled into the box. Now they're playing one high. Okay, look like 4. Now it's cover 3. Well, that's all processing ability. So those are two very important things, right? How much of a leader are you? How much of a processor are you? Those are intangibles that every great quarterback has that are not unique to them. All right, they might do it in a very unique way, but those are all shared. Those are common traits among all great quarterbacks, no matter who you are from college to pro. If you are great, if you reach the pinnacle of that position, you share those traits. I think there is one other common trait among all great quarterbacks. I don't care who you are. Accuracy. Accuracy. All right, because if I can process it, if I know where I'm supposed to go with the ball, the last step is being able to put the ball where I want to, right? And I think Nuss certainly checks all of those three boxes. However, and I think he's going to be a really, really good, maybe borderline great college quarterback. I think he will be great until the moment he has to create. I think there are some physical limitations in Garrett Nussmeier's game. I think everybody has seen that, even dating back to his high school years, right? This is a guy who is 6'1", maybe 6'1" in cleats. Okay, he's about 195 pounds. But in terms of he doesn't have the world's biggest arm. He's not the greatest athlete in the world. But he is going to get by off the fact that he is probably, at least dating back to his high school days and dating off what I've seen in limited action in college, he's deadly accurate. He knows where to go with the ball, and he knows how to put it there, right? So we're accurate. We have a processor. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've known something about this kid since he was, senior in high school that everybody else has now become to know. And everyone at LSU certainly knew once he got there. This is a pro's pro. His dad is on an NFL staff currently. Brad Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier, one of the Nussmeiers. Pops is on an NFL roster somewhere, and this is definitely a coach's son. And you can hear it in his tone. You can hear it in the way he speaks. You can hear it in the way he approaches things. I saw it on the Elite 11 field, even in a high school setting. I talk about this every single year when we go to this event, right? When I go out there, I hyper-analyze the intangibles if I can find them. Garrett Nussmeier's intangibles screamed with a fucking megaphone in the middle of the field. They were violently loud. They were demonstrative how much of a pro's pro this kid was when he was 18 years old. He's only compounded that since he's gotten into college. So those are all great things for anybody listening today that may or may not be an LSU fan. So there is that. Yeah, certainly, again, I think there are some physical limitations, but this is college football. I don't think he's going to get exposed to that rate. I think maybe he doesn't have a Jaden Daniels year, but maybe he doesn't have to because the defense gets better. I do think LSU, I'm not going to say they're in the contentions talk for the SEC. I certainly believe they believe that. I think this conference starts and the discussion for that starts with Georgia and Texas, and then we get into that meddlesome group of, hey, where's Alabama? Where's Missouri? Where's Ole Miss? Where is LSU, right? I think that's kind of the group where they're at right now, with certainly some upside moving forward. And obviously it's LSU. They're always going to have great wide receivers and great weapons. They talked a little bit about that today. So there is that. I thought Kelly's answer about Harold Perkins, Brooks looking around like someone's about to run him off the table. No, but I am, what do you call it? I do have a little PTSD from our live stream out in LA, even though I am supposed to be here. I am supposed to be here. I do have permission to be here, so we're all good. I have permission to do everything that I'm doing right now, but the ADD is popping off right now. So yeah, there's that. Where were we at? We were talking about Kelly's answer about Harold Perkins. Obviously, everyone knows a little bit about Harold Perkins. This is year 3 for him at LSU. Year 1 was just, flooded with sack stats, right? He's getting after the quarterback, really rushing on specific third downs, like obvious passing downs, getting out there, really getting after quarterbacks with speed rushes, which, twitched up athlete. I guarantee you right now today, if you gave him 12 snaps out there speed rushing on a Saturday, he'd end up with 2 or 3 sacks. It's just his nature. It's what he's good at. However, that's not what he's going to play on Sundays. That dude is all of maybe 6'2". He's all of maybe 230 pounds, and he ain't an edge rusher. That's not what he's going to play on Sundays. He is going to have to play Mike or Will. He's going to have to play off-ball linebacker. He's going to have to stand up, read guards, run sideline to sideline, do all that stuff. So I find it extremely refreshing when I hear an SEC football coach be asked, hey, coach, you got this guy could be doing this for you and winning for you guys on Saturdays, but he needs to do this on Sundays. How are you balancing that? And the answer was, well, there ain't really no balance. The answer is we have to do right by Harold. He's going to be playing this position on Sundays. He needs to learn, even if it's the detriment of our defense. He needs to learn how to do this and do it at a great rate and a great level. I'm excited to see what Perkins does in year 2 of playing this standard inside off the ball linebacker position. Super excited to see what that's ultimately going to look like. This is a great question from Henry Dion. Brooks, J. Will, and Kirby in the chat. I would imagine if I know my guys like I know them, J. Will drop in at some point in this chat. Kirby is off doing Kirby things. One thing I've learned about working with Kirby for 18 months now, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. I know he likes to lift. I know he likes to eat clean. I know he shows up and works hard, and I know he's really talented. But I don't know nothing about Joker, so I don't know where he's at. J. Will might pop in at some point because that's how he is. But I hope J. Will's hanging out with his wife, enjoying the time off while, yours truly does all the on-camera stuff. And maybe Kirby's like, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm trying to make a joke here, but I can't even think of one because he's so aloof. I have no idea. Maybe he's playing spike ball in the quad. I have no clue where he's at right now. Probably playing NCAA. It's a good call from the chat right there. Make sure you hit that like button over on YouTube if you are joining us on YouTube. If you're over there on Twitter, appreciate you for being here today. We love all of our listeners, however, wherever they find us. Anyways, I love hearing we are putting the future of the player over the current of the team now. I love hearing that. I love hearing that not only in the coach speak, but in the play. Like how you go about using and utilizing that individual speaks to what your priorities are. And this is a prime example. I get into beefs and into discussions and into arguments with high school football coaches all the time about this right here. High school football coaches run the wing T. They run the triple. Why? Because they know they can win games doing that. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Unless you got a tackle that is 6'5", 285 pounds, and God touched that human being from birth and let everybody know he's going to be a Division I athlete, or the same thing happened with your wide receiver who runs 4.28 and is a 10-300-meter guy, guess what? You have almost vanquished any opportunity for anybody other than your running back to go to college offensively, in my opinion. That's how you do that. You have prioritized, I can win this way, so you win that way, and that's great. That's your job in your mind. In my mind, your job is to put a winning product on the field, but it's to develop young men. It's to prepare them for the world, give them any type of advice or leadership that they are in seek of, right? But also it's to extend their career. It's to make sure that they go on, and if they want to, they have the aspirations to go, they go. This is a prime example of this. For all the coaches that are out here doing the triple thing, I'm great. And you'll say, hey, but so-and-so came out of a triple option offense. You don't know nothing because look at all the Division I athletes I've created. Did you create those Division I athletes, or did God by genetic pooling? I would say God did by the genetic pooling, right? It's not because of what they did out there on the triple field. Coming from a guy who played triple in college. Same thing right here. Harold Perkins could be out here getting 10 sacks for LSU this year, but that would hurt his ultimate longevity in his career on Sundays. So we have to prioritize that. I love hearing coaches talk about that. That right there, I'm with you. Might have me committing to it by the end of the season or by the end of the week. I don't know. We ain't got a front runner yet for that title, but nonetheless, shouts out Brian Kelly. Also, sidebar here. They are giving every football player here a personalized cowboy hat. A cowboy hat is Dallas. My question, how many of these football players wear that cowboy hat ever again? I saw Harold Perkins walking with his cowboy hat, or at least the assistant was holding his cowboy hat. I saw Harold Perkins walking with the cowboy hat, and I was like, hey, bro, you ever going to wear that again? And he was like, the cowboy hat? And I said, nah, the fucking grill in your mouth. Yeah, the cowboy hat. And his answer was, maybe on a tiger walk. But other than that, probably never again. Going to be a nice little, what do you call those? Memento? Well, a nice little memento for their football career out here. But nonetheless, all right. Yeah, right here. Malachi Starks came from a triple option offense and he's going to be a top 10 pick. You're wrong, Brooks. Yeah, Jeremiah, I know what you're doing. I know you're playing the role here. Malachi Starks, ladies and gentlemen, was a 10'6", 100-meter runner at 6'2", 200 pounds, triple jumped over 21 feet. God bless that man. God bless that human being. He was going to play college football. Had nothing to do with Jefferson High School football. And they'll tell you that. I would hope they would. If they are arrogant enough to stand in front of people and say, I made Malachi Starks, then by God, they ought to be standing in front of a microphone giving opinions for a living. Because holy hell. Anyways, on to the next one. Hey, we are set up remote. Picture is pristine. Audio is pristine. Ain't no complaints except that battery might die before we're done dumping these takes. Anyways, on to Shane Beamer. Me and the Beamer man, me and the Beamer boy, we got a little history, right? At particularly these SEC media days, I fall in love with this man in front of a microphone every time. This year he didn't get me. This year he lost me before he even showed up because the man was on a bull out here in the lobby. I don't know where they found the bull. I don't know if any other coaches going on the bull, but Mans was on a bull. Mans was on a bull 20 minutes, a mechanical bull, 20 minutes before he got up in front of the media and addressed the world after a 5-7 season. Love it. Love it. All jokes aside, that's who he is. And he even said it. He's going to have fun doing this job. And you know what? As someone whose grandfather told them from a very young age, do what you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, I appreciate that sentiment. However, I think you guys know that I have a lot of fun at my job. I have a lot of fun. I do a lot of fun things. I have a big old smile on my face, and I have a lot of fun. But y'all know I work hard too. You know what I mean? Y'all know I get results. Y'all know I show up when I tell you I'm going to be here. Y'all know I don't slack off. Y'all know the grind is the grind. Y'all respect the grind. You know what I mean? Like, football coaching is one of these things that is like it's like an addict's realm. Like, if you aren't breathing this stuff daily, hourly, seconds, by the second, like how great will you ultimately be? And maybe we'll find somebody who gets onto the top of this sport. Maybe we find someone who reaches the absolute pinnacle, just having fun. But I don't know of one. Y'all, I'm gonna take a swig from this water. Y'all tell me a coach not named Tony Dungy, who had Peyton Manning, by the way, and only won one. Y'all find me a coach that out here did it fun and didn't do it, obsessively, because the obsessive ones are the ones who win. That's my opinion. The obsessive ones win in this sport, not the I'm gonna have fun doing it. I love that you have fun, but I should also know that you bought your shit. And when you're on a bull, I don't know if you're on your shit. You know what I mean? Also, come to find out, Shane Beamer's not the only head coach to give the feet for free. Apparently, our man Steve Spurrier. Apparently, Spurrier was shirtless, shoeless, sockless the entire summer during summer workouts out there in South Carolina. So good on him. I guess it just runs in the Gamecock gene pool. It's like once you wear burgundy, you can't wear socks and shoes, I guess is the rule. I have to check up on that one. I don't know if that's applicable to everyone in Columbia, but it certainly seems to be with the head coaches. But no, I think apart from he likes to have fun, that's all good and great. I will say I think he made not a critical error, but I think he made an error today. Bro set his expectations, the public expectations for his program, entirely too high, in my opinion. And look, I understand that when you first take a job, you should come out here and you should talk about how the program, especially the SEC program, if it's not Vanderbilt or Mississippi State, the program you just took over has no ceiling. I understand the message. We intend to compete for college football playoffs. I understand the message. I would be selling it year 1 too. But year 4, entering year 4 after a 5-7 season in which you're going to either be starting on Norris Sellers for the first year or Robbie Ashford, or maybe a combination of both. Also, a whole bunch of interchanging. Who's going to play wide receiver? Still got some offensive line questions. Y'all got so many questions about your roster, and you're out here telling your fan base that the expectation is no ceiling. We're going to a college football playoff? Buddy, I'd have pulled a card from Hugh Freeze's hat. I'd have been out here talking about, look how young we are. Look how I don't know if we're ready we are. Look how bright the future is. I would be doing all that stuff. Unless you know you don't have a leash to do so. I didn't even need Shane's comments to let me know that he's feeling a little bit of pressure, even though he didn't portray that. But, you know, the idea that, hey, the ceiling is endless. We need to be in a college football playoff contention. That is the standard here. That is the standard we set at South Carolina football. All of that talk lets me know that he's in the mode to win now. Also, I don't need his words. I can see his actions by his roster. I talked to him about this today. I asked him about this today. For the first time in his career, they have taken more transfers in the 2024 class than they did high school commits. It's the first time since his first year there, when he got there in, you know, I think mid-December, right after National Signing Day, or maybe right before National Signing Day, and had to kind of put everything together and then go hammer the transfer portal. Well, this year they took 22 transfer portal kids. They took 18 kids out of high school rosters. And this is a coach that has stood up on that stage year in and year out now the last 2 seasons and told us how well he's recruited on the high school level. And he has. He's recruited at a higher level at South Carolina than anybody has in, I think, since 2012 is what he stated today. Back-to-back recruiting class rankings that average higher than any other back-to-back years since 2012. Real interesting stat that I'm sure somebody had to run down for him at 247 Sports, or at least somebody in the building had to run down for them. But they have recruited and made it a priority to recruit on the high school trail. However, now all of a sudden we're shifting into this. Well, now we got to go get portal players. Well, why? Well, buddy, you got to win, right? 5 and 7 ain't going to do it. Also, you had a bunch of departures as well. You had guys leave, transfer in conference. Juice Wells being one of those. You had guys graduate and go to the NFL. Spencer Rattler being one of those. So you had to go get what he called a balance of older talent and young talent. It's at least a balance, and it at least seems to be a calculated type of roster management strategy. However, I do think he erred in judgment in the sense that he came out here telling everybody, hey, look, like, we out here going to go play for a college football playoff this year, or that's our standard. Like, bro, that's rich. That's rich waters for someone who should be talking about improving on last year, and we got a great, young core, and look at all the future is what I would have been selling if and only if I knew that I was the future, if I was going to be there. If I knew that my seat was a little warm, I'd be speaking probably like Shane did today, in the sense that now is the time for South Carolina football to be damned. We're waiting on the future. We got to go get it right now. So there is that. I don't know if he's on the hot seat. I can tell you that the kind of the vibe around here, and we talk to South Carolina people, is that like he might mess around and find himself on that if he's not careful. You know what I mean? If he's not careful, he might find himself on a pseudo hot seat. So there is that. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribing, rating, reviewing, all that good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Lane. Lane obviously opened with a sentiment about his father, Monty Kiffin, passing this past weekend. And I'll say this, I didn't address the Monty stuff before we left for SEC Media Days last week. I think he passed on Thursday, and we were remiss to not mention it during the show Thursday night. I want to talk about this right now. Anytime you invent something in this sport, especially like within the last, 3 or 4 decades, if you've done something in the last 40 years of football and you can claim your stake of, I did that, I invented that, that is mine, and everybody in the world of football knows that is mine, by God, you're a friggin' unicorn, right? Like, and that's what Monty did. Monty invented Tampa 2 defense, the idea of splitting safeties and have someone running the middle of the field particularly a linebacker. He kind of and the staple of it was the John Lynch defense with Derek Brooks at the linebacker position. When you have John Lynch playing safety and you can now kind of just give him one half of the field and not have to have him worry about the middle of it, it kind of freed that guy up to do a lot of stuff, on top of the fact that Derek Brooks was one of the more athletic linebackers to ever really play the position, off ball particularly. You can have him running the middle hole. You're going to change defenses and modernize defensive football and really force offenses to kind of adjust as well. Like, this is a unicorn. This was a unicorn, because for as long as I've studied football, ain't nobody out here inventing shit. Ain't nobody put something in that is theirs that everybody can point to and say that's his, right? Even these RPO systems, right? Even these spread systems, whatever you want to call it, they're just amalgamations of the option, right? An RPO with a slant, one option with the running back, two options with the quarterback, three options with the slot. That's triple option, baby. We've been running that since Roosevelt was in office. You know what I mean? Like, football has not changed. This guy invented something. You tip your cap to anybody who's ever done that. Also, by the way, he birthed, I don't know, one of the best offensive minds college football seen in our decade, right? With the college football that we know, the college football that I know as an adult and covering the sport, it involved Lane Kiffin. It has involved, this sport of football has required and involved the brilliant offensive mind of Lane Kiffin since the early thousands, the early aughts. That's a long time of being kind of like one of the names on one of the sides of the football. And that's just the tree, man. That is the Lane Kiffin kind of, tree. And I will tell you this, or the Monty Kiffin impact on the sport, I should say. And I will say this about Lane. Lane's very monotoned in all of these. I've never heard him come out here and just light the world on fire. He doesn't have that type of personality in front of this camera setting, okay? Even last year, I felt like he was very much so over this, didn't really want to be here, kind of just did it because he had to do it. He provides all the quote in week, right? When Ole Miss is playing Alabama, he going to say some smart shit about how T-Rob's calling the defense and Kevin's still sitting on his hands. When, Lane comes to Sanford Stadium and gets whipped, he's going to go provide you a fiery quote after the game about how we don't have a roster that looks like his. I've got to recruit better. And then everybody runs with that, right? This is not that instance. This is not that setting, especially after the passing of his father. So we're going to give him the pass on that. One question that I wish I had for him that I did not get to ask, because unlimited question, too many people asking about Texas and Oklahoma's roster. But nonetheless, one question I wanted to ask him is, look, man, y'all had, I think, 22 high school kids this class in 2024, 24 transfers come into your program. That is 46 new bodies that have shown up on your campus since January. How in the hell do you remember everybody's name? I mean, very simple question, but even to a more complexity, how do you develop relationships with all those new people? Your roster's doing this, as we get a nice sunset view in here. Your roster's doing this consistently. How in the hell do you know it? What systems do you have in place? Because, Coach, I'm horrible with names. Do you do the y'all ever seen that movie House Money where she's like, Clarice, and then she like remembers the person's name through like this devilish voice? Do you have something like that going on, Lane? Do y'all just have tape on the helmets the entire year? What are you doing to remember the names of these individuals? Because good God Almighty, they are rotating in and out consistently. I would imagine he has some type of system. He did say he does feel as if his roster is a little bit more akin to that of UGA's and that of Alabama's, just in terms of a length and size standpoint. I think everybody gets bogged down in maybe offensive play or defensive play or specific players in the SEC. The difference between the SEC and every other conference in the sport, he talked about it today, it's the lines of scrimmage. You go look at offensive and defensive lines from SEC programs and then go compare them to Big 12 rosters or go compare them to ACC rosters. The two are not the same, right? One looks completely different than the other. One looks much larger and thicker and longer than that of the other. So it was interesting to hear him kind of connote that as well. So that's it. That's all the thoughts I have on Lane. My boy Clark, I ain't gonna lie to you, Clark. I'm gonna have to go back and watch. Doors down, baby. Doors down. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, the moment I'm giving 15 minutes to the Vanderbilt Commodores on this here network, just willy-nilly for football purposes, they done did something. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a Rodgers playing quarterback or something. Maybe there's some reason to be talking about Vandy football, but today ain't the day. I will tell you, Vandy football players come walking through here, and I ain't even got to see a logo on the chest to know who they play for. They stick out in the wrong way. They look like Vandy football players. Everybody else, I'm like, hey, who he play for? Oh, he's in Burgundy. Maybe that's Tonka Hemingway. Tonka Hemingway, big guy. Vanderbilt players, not very large. Not very large. So there's that. All right. Enough Vandy talk. Let's preview tomorrow. I know a lot of people here today are obviously Georgia fans or Georgia listeners from the state of Georgia. Tomorrow is Georgia Day here at SEC Media Days. There's some other coaches going too, but who gives a hoot? We're here to talk about them Dogs, at least for these next 10, 15 minutes. Glad you guys can be here with me as always. Kirby will kick things off tomorrow at 9:05 local time. That is 10:05 back for you guys. However, the Georgia Beat is unlike any other. All the news, all the notes, everything worthy, all the quotes you guys are looking for, I guarantee you they hit the timeline tomorrow on social media way before he even gets on the podium. He is set to meet with local media, myself included, tomorrow morning at 8:05 here local time. That's 9:05 back home. We will get him and all of the players in just a regular beat reporting setting tomorrow morning. So that will be nice to kind of have him before he gets thrown to the wolves out there. You would imagine he addresses all of the things regarding the recent incidences prior to he even gets up onto the podium. I would imagine he has to readdress it publicly for the podium or for the people at the podium. He'll assumably get asked about that again once he gets up in front of the national audience. And I will say this. I'm intrigued. Excited is the wrong word. I'm intrigued to hear what the man says tomorrow about this, because ain't nothing worked. Ain't nothing worked. That's the thing I've said to people out here that keep asking questions about it. You know, I'll have to do multiple hits tomorrow, and I will undoubtedly be asked about it. Hey, you know, everybody ribbing you when you get up here. You're a Georgia Beat reporter. The moment you get up here, everybody gonna rib you. Damn. Would you drive 105 over here? They even give it to us. They rib us as media reporters that cover this football team. I will get asked about it tomorrow. He will get asked about it tomorrow. I'm intrigued because nothing has worked. They've had Georgia State Patrol come talk to these players. Kirby's threatened them. Their own players have stood up and tried to do some type of in-house leadership. They have every Clark County Police Department advisor come in there and speak to these players. Nothing. They've had a teammate die. Nothing has kept these players from doing what they consistently do. And I want to know what, like, even like, you did all the meetings, coach. You've done all the talking. Y'all did all the lip service. What changed? What is actually I want to know. I want to hear at least him answer it tomorrow, because I'm curious. I don't want to hold his feet to the fire. I don't think he's responsible for anything. In fact, I think he's gone to his wits' end to try to do everything except for your ass is gone. That's the last measure. That's it. Because y'all talking about track the cars, take the cars. They can't do none of that. They can take the NIL money. I guarantee you getting in trouble. If you've gotten in trouble at Georgia this spring, enjoy 2020 football again. Y'all out here doing it the old broke person's way of just getting your stipend check and having school paid for you, and hoping you can live off whatever money you got left in your bank account, because the influx of NIL cash the next month probably getting taken back from you if you were to get in trouble. So the whole idea of taking their money, that's already happened. The only thing left is get your ass off this team. That's it. That's the only countermeasure he has left. And I, for one, hope he does not have to pull that, because the last thing I want to see is a 19-year-old have their Georgia football career ripped from them because they wanted to drag race. However, I think we've reached that point. I'm not going to lie to you. And I said it, and I'm going to say my piece right here because we're going to have to talk about it tomorrow. It's just too much. It's just too much. And I said it, even if you want to give Athens Clark County PD some slack or some flack on this, even if you want to say, well, you know, like the Bo Hughley incident. I've said this, and I haven't said this on air. I'm going to say this right now. I wonder how many other college football towns. Tuscaloosa, for example. Tuscaloosa, Alabama football player, Johnny. Johnny goes down a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit road. He's driving 40. Maybe, let's say he's driving 45. Let's say he's driving 45. And he loses control of his car. Single car accident, totals his car, calls the police. Police is called. Tow wrecker shows up, whatever. Is that Alabama football player being arrested for reckless driving? Probably not. And if that Alabama football player is not arrested for reckless driving, is it ever known about? Probably not. And I wonder how many Bo Hewley incidences, how many Tyrion Ingram Dawkins incidences, like going 90 and a 70, standard traffic violation, slow your ass down, standard traffic violation. I wonder how many of those just like don't get reported, or the cop just lets them go because they play. And I know this happens in other towns because might know a college football player or two that may or may not have gotten away with something a time or two. Okay, so these things happen in other towns. I wonder if certain things don't get reported everywhere else. However, I gave y'all the benefit of the doubt. I gave Georgia the benefit of the doubt saying, hey, some of this is just dumb traffic violation shit. AJC reported 19 incidences since the death of Devin Willock. It ain't 19. It's 11. I think 8 of those are bullcrap. I think 8 of those are a Jacoby White incidents, or Tyrion Ingram Dawkins going 90 and a 70, or so-and-so failed to stop at a stop sign, or so-and-so got caught texting on their phone, so they swerved lanes. They got a failure to maintain lane. All of those are traffic violations, yes. All of those are not violations of y'all are out here racing and y'all are out here driving like you want to die. What are y'all doing? That stuff got to go. The other minor stuff, that's bullshit. I don't even feel like reporting it. I feel like reporting it, honestly, is kind of fugazi. Not fugazi, but it ain't really the crux of the issue. Y'all get what I'm saying? So there's that Golden Hour Brooks. That's right. Yeah, got that nice shining glow to me. I want to hear what he talks about tomorrow with regards to that. I just want to hear what new information he comes out and brings us. I'm going to sit back right here so I'm not so much in that sunlight right there, because it do be washing the boy out. The other thing I want to hear him talk about, what philosopher and what great warrior has my man been reading up on? Because my guy gives me something every single year. We call them moments. I want thank you. You know, like you do in the church service, preach up there, he be giving that good word. He be laying something on you to hit you right in the heart. Gotta start living right, Brooks. And you be sitting there in the stands or in the pulpit, you be like, preacher, thank you. Thank you for that word. I want like 4 or 5 of them tomorrow. That's what I want. Because nobody does it better, especially now that Saban's gone. Nobody does this better than this guy right here. Everybody else, we got 28 seniors. We got great leadership council. Can't wait to tell you about the 3 guys we got here with us today. Blah, 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 blah. This man gonna come to us tomorrow with a damn football word, and it's gonna make me go, thank you. I can't wait to hear it. Kirbyisms, that's what we call them. And moments. I want to have one tomorrow. I want to know, what's he think about this football team? I want to get some type of feel for that, even though I asked him last August what he feels is this football team is good or great at. He said he didn't have a damn clue. I asked him in September. He said, I still ain't got a damn clue. I asked him in November, and he said, we got some fight. Maybe he knows something about his football team this week. Maybe we'll get something out of him. I hope to find something out. Does he recognize any holes or any areas of improvement from last year that need to get, addressed this year? I think that will be an interesting thing for him. And I guarantee you, he will be asked about Texas tomorrow. He will be asked about the matchup against Texas. And I'm putting it on the line right now. I'm putting money on this one. I can already tell you what he's going to say tomorrow. He's going to get asked about Texas, and he's going to talk glowingly about Texas, and then he's going to mention the other 3 games that he's got on his schedule that are nut-cutting. He's going to talk about the other games on his schedule, like at Alabama and at Ole Miss, and he's going to talk about how it's the SEC, and it's week in, week out, and he's going to say, Texas is good, this conference is great. That's going to be the word. So, Texas beat reporter, listen to this. Don't ask it tomorrow. We already got it. I gave you the spill. I've been listening to the man every single press conference for 3.5 years. I bet everything. I bet everything that I shouldn't say everything. I bet a lot of money he's going to do exactly that tomorrow. Texas is good. SEC's great. You ready? It's going to happen. Ready for it to happen tomorrow. So there's that. Where are we at? Carson. That's enough for Kirby. Carson. Here we go. The quotes from the Manning Passing Academy from Carson, he's very introverted. We all know this. He's so much so even in front of a camera, like he'll never get a TV job. He'll never want them. The idea of sitting behind a desk and giving opinions with a smile on my face, oh my God, ick, right? That's the way Carson probably feels about this. However, based off everything that I've seen this offseason, I think he's found some media foos. Media foos is real. Fake juice, you need it. You gotta have it. Okay. I don't think I turn anything on when the camera comes on. However, I'm more energetic and more caffeinated during this hour than I am at any other point in my day, right? We're going to get after it for the hour that we're in front of this camera. We're going to do it, right? We're going to mean it. We're going to love it. Even when I don't want to be here, I'm going to foose it. I'm going to fake juice that thing all the way through it. Even when all I've had, I'm just kidding. Even when all I've had to eat today is whatever they fed us today. And this damn carnivore diet got your boy all whacked out when he's on the road. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it, right? I think Carson has found some of that foose, some of that fake media juice during this offseason, okay? During having to do what is required to be a face of a program, all that good stuff. This guy has at least shown those capabilities in his words and in the transcript of what I heard out there at the Manning Passing Academy. Will that translate into this week? I don't know. Carson, if you're listening, let it, okay? Because it will instill a much higher level of confidence in you from everyone else around you. The idea that, hey, yeah, he's not only like the face of our program, but he's the face of our program. We all get that, right? If Carson spoke like Malachi in front of the media, Carson would already, in terms of like, and I'm going to talk about this with Malachi here in a second. Malachi is so obviously and 100% unscripted and authentic and so damn smart. Every time you ask him a question, I can tell for 100% certainty that is the first time he is allowed, or whatever his brain is going to in terms of answering that question, it's the first time he spit that out. There are no pre-planned or premeditated talking points with Malachi Starks. And he is so authentic. And he is so smart. And I know Carson's smart and I know he's authentic, but he's just not personally outgoing in front of a microphone. If he could find any of that, I feel like the public persona of him would be vaulted at a much higher rate, if that makes any sense at all. So there is that. Super excited to watch Malachi. I just talked about it right here. Very excited to watch other media members engage with him and find out just, how brilliant and how intelligent that young man is. Not that all these other guys are. I find a very unique, authentic intelligence about Malachi every time I talk to him. And in terms of Michael Williams is going to be out here talking to the media tomorrow. That's going to be the largest man here this week. I guarantee it. And, I saw Tonka Hemingway today. Tonka Hemingway's a big guy. Michael Williams is gargantuan compared to that human. Just from a physical stature point, Tonka's probably got him by 30 pounds, maybe 40. But in terms of just a physical stature, walk in the room and absorb it, swallow the whole entire room, Michael Williams fitting to do that tomorrow. Also, need to get before I even see the suit, I need the tailor's information, because whatever tailor got enough fabric to fit the 85 some odd inch wingspan on that joker, I need to find him, especially the length in the pants too, because not that I got that problem, I got the opposite. I got these pants was made for someone with a 40-inch waist, and you ain't him, even though you got a 40-inch waist. We need to take the length up out of this. If you can add the length into it, I would imagine you're professionally tight with the length back then. So maybe we're going to have to holler with Michael Williams as Taylor. So there is that. All right. I'm good. That was a fired off hour of your boy just hammering the topics from today. We'll do the same exact thing tomorrow, same exact time, same exact location. Want to ask you guys to hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Bunch of people watching right now, so no better time to throw this ad. PrizePicks.com, use promo code Brooks. You get a 100% deposit match. What does that mean? You put up to $100, You will instantly get matched with $100 in your account right now. Jed May, if you walk into my shop, we're going to have a problem. He did it anyways. Just kidding. Jed's my guy. Promo code Brooks, prizepicks.com. Get a 100% deposit match. What's that mean? Put up to $100, instantly get a match with $100 instantly. Also have 2 free subs for you guys available. Patreon.com/Brooks Austin. If you want those, they are over on Brooks7711@gmail.com. I think that's it. I think that is it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye.